It wasn't the actual knowledge of the product. It was the ability to communicate with another human being.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode. On today's episode, we have Paul Conti. He has helped thousands of real estate professionals generate huge volumes of income using strategies that they don't know that they can leverage using tools, systems that they already have access to using their database and things of that nature. This is going to be one of the most amazing interviews we've done so far. So, Paul, thank you for jumping on with us today. We can't wait to have a real good chin wag with you.
I love it.
We're going to catch you by surprise here a little bit, my friend.
I'm looking forward to this. What an honor. What an absolute honor.
It.
Yeah, we've just been having a chat. I think there is going to be an incredible amount of value that you can bring to the table. So, you know, you've been doing this 22 years. Like the way I always like to start these to give everyone context of what we're really doing here is, how did you start? How did you grow? You know, let's give us a background, give us the stories, the juicy nuggets, and then we'll go from there.
I love that. Not many people ask that question. First of all, I want to share, and thank you, like I mentioned before, but I want to share with you guys and your listeners. Whenever you see me looking down, it's never being disrespectful. I do not have a phone. There are no weapons of mass distraction during this call. This is the only thing that means anything to me right now. But I do have my clipboard, so I'm taking notes. And when I learn something valuable, I write it down. That would be a tip that I'm sharing with everybody as well. I wrote chin wag. So now I know when I talk to somebody from the UK, we're chin wagging. I never heard that. I love it. That was fabulous. So I just want to share that with everybody. My background. As a young kid, I was always the guy that was orchestrating the kickball games, the stickball games, the basketball, the baseball, the motorcycle group, all that kind of stuff. And I never really identified any value in that other than he's the guy that's going to organize it. It just came natural to me. And my parents identified that early. I did not. It wasn't something that I woke up every day and say, okay, I'm going to be a leader in the kickball world. It never even dawned on me. It was just something I did naturally. Like if we want to play a game, I'll put it together. So I enjoyed doing that. I found value in that. Not at that age to identify the gift from God that this was. It was just something that I did naturally. As I progressed through schooling, which was not my strength, I want to make it quite clear to everybody. I'll say this, not necessarily bragging, but to help people understand a little bit about my background because you asked. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree. That wasn't because I was staying in school to learn more. I just couldn't get through school. I jokingly say to people, I had a 4.0 when I graduated, but that was adding all 7 years together. It was a very challenging schooling experience for me. So it was never my strength, right? But way back when I was in 8th grade, always struggling, aspiring to get a D, right? To keep my parents off my back. But my parents did something when I was in 8th grade and said, Paulie, you're a fanatic about motorcycles. You love racing. You love this. They didn't threaten to take it away. They said, we'll buy you a brand new motorcycle if you can get all A's and B's on your final report card. I remember to this day, 4 A's and 3 B's. So in reality, it was in me, but there was nothing driving me, motivating, exciting me. I just wanted to get through it because I didn't like it. It didn't foster growth for me. It was almost like a factory or worker bees. And you got to go and sit in this factory and get this stamp of approval. Here's your piece of paper. That says what? I'm a good test taker? That's all it was to get through school, right? So there was nothing going on there, but that did prove, and my parents proved the point, they did give me the motorcycle, you can do it. And then in high school, I struggled and almost failed out. So I fell right back into my old habits because the drive wasn't always there until I had gone to multiple colleges, failed out, didn't like it, hated it. My father looked at me and said, Paulie, you got 2 options. You're going to work or you're going to go to school. What do you want to do? I said, I'm going to work, Daddy, because I hate school. I went to work in a factory, literally punching sheet metal for 8 hours a day, around guys that were drinking and smoking during their break with cut up fingers. I'm like, is this my life? Is this where I am? About 3 or 4 months after that, I said, Daddy, I'm ready to go back to school. So then I enrolled back in school, go to community college, didn't do too well there, left that community college, went into another one. And there I met my now is wife. She's sitting diagonal from me. I'm not going to give you the detailed story, but she's sitting diagonal from me, straight A student, missed enrolling in the college she wanted to go to, forced to go to a community college. Come on, that's just God putting things together, right? Sitting diagonal from me, I'm like, oh, this chick's pretty cute. What do we got going on here? And we end up meeting. I'll give the detailed story another day. We end up meeting, going to lunch by the grace of God. And I mentioned this to my children. My wife, Jennifer, was a better motivator for me than any book, any video, any parental threat. Nothing did anything. When I met her, she was my motivation. After meeting her, it was 17, 18, 19 credits a semester, pulling 2 jobs so I can get a ring. I need to move on with this girl. And ultimately, that's what happened. We're together now 31 years, married for 26, happy for 5. No, that's a terrible joke because she'll watch this later. I'm happy for all 31 years. We're on cloud 9. She is a blessing in my life. She is my driving force. She's not necessarily somebody that watches my videos. She doesn't sit down and do a rah-rah. She doesn't do the camera. She wants nothing to do with this stuff. She is my driving force. She's what got me to move and get this thing to where it is today. Even to this day, my son Marco is just about to be married, and we were struggling with his education as well. Kind of like daddy, right? I'm not saying it's a genetic excuse. You're a victim. Marco, daddy was no good, so you're no good. No, I don't buy into that crap. So my son just had some natural struggling things in school. And I was bringing him into the coaching classes, bringing him into my world, showing him this, exposing him to this. He did not go to college. He came to daddy's coaching classes. That to me was better life experience than an actual classroom environment. But I couldn't get him over the hump. Didn't matter through threat, prayer, negotiation, car, nothing mattered. He ends up meeting his gift from God. And I said, Marco, she will be the best motivator in your entire life, and she won't even have to say a word. She's like my wife, quiet behind the curtain. I'm the guy on stage. She doesn't want the attention. She doesn't have to say a word. She's your motivator, dude. He's kicking it up. Thank God for Sarah. What a beautiful blessing in our life. So that's the personal story a little bit. So I eventually get out of college and didn't know what I wanted to do. I just know I wanted to be with her, and we'll figure it out later, right? My parents and some other people said, why don't you go be a coach or a gym teacher? You've been doing that all your life already. Why don't you get paid to do it? I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. So I ended up getting my teaching degree. You want to talk about, we talked earlier about God working in mysterious ways. It's only mysterious to us because our brain is so small. He's got everything played out. We're just going through the motions. I walk into an interview with a stack of resumes for a gym teacher job. Think about this. They don't leave their job. It's so easy. They don't leave their job. Stack of resumes on the desk and get the job on the spot. Fresh kid out of college. One suit that I borrowed that I wore for funerals, weddings, and an interview. That was all I had. I get the job. Long and short, I'm there a year and a half. They asked me to do public speaking to the superintendent, to the parents. I'm like, what? I'm the new guy here of 7 other gym teachers. What? I don't understand. So I wasn't necessarily liked because I was aspiring to greatness, and they were aspiring to a paycheck. Beautiful people, nice people, shake a hand, have a cup of coffee. But we had different aspirations. And I felt as though I was given so much that I had to excel. But after a little while, I recognized that it didn't matter how awesome I was, the accolades that I got, the pat on the back, I got the same paycheck that you did. And you did nothing. Ooh, that stung. But the state came down with some budget cuts, and they were laying off 18 teachers. I was low guy on the pole. It didn't matter how awesome I was. I got let go. I was low guy on the pole. I ended up going to another town. Again, walked in, got the gym teacher job on the spot. I'm like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. This doesn't happen. After about a year of that, I started to get more frustrated. In my particular world, Paul Conti's world, old school Catholic Italian, the wife's not working. By the grace of God, my wife has never had a job outside of the house in 31 years. God's given me the ability to keep her in her vocation. This is our belief system, right? So fortunate. After a while of gym teaching, making $27,000 a year, trying to support a wife, a child, a second one on the way, my W-2 was not as big as my credit card debt. I'm in trouble. I'm doing extracurricular stuff. I'm trying to do coaching on this. I'm in trouble. A friend of mine says, Paulie, I'm opening a mortgage company. Come on with me. You'd be great at this. I'm like, mortgage, what is that? I don't understand. Oh, you just get people to do mortgages. I'll teach you. He was starting a mortgage company, and what did he need? Employees. And I was kind of half decent at selling, talking, communicating, articulating a message. I said, I'm in. I didn't have many options. I kind of looked on the scale. Okay, you have more debt than your W-2. It's not going to get better. You're adding another kid to the equation. I was optionless. People think I was courageous. Oh, you're so courageous. No. I'm stone broke. I'm optionless. I got a second kid on the way. I joined the mortgage business and left teaching. In reality, folks, what I've now learned 22 years later, I've been teaching the entire time. I didn't necessarily join the mortgage business. It was a different form of coaching. It was a different form of teaching that said, Paulie, you know what? We're not going to limit your income to what your degree says. You can have everything you want to have because this is limitless. I'm like, you're actually paid for performance? I like this, right? Blew it up. Year and a half of selling mortgages. Then people in the company were always coming to me. It's funny because we mentioned before the call, the owner of the company would actually interview people and send them back to talk to me. They would talk to me. They would ask me questions, mortgage questions, all the data, the statistics. I'm like, I don't know. They would go back to the owner and say, if that moron can make this much money, I want to work here. What do you guys have going on? It wasn't the actual knowledge of the product. It was the ability to communicate with another human being. That's my gift from God. That's what we do well. So people in the company are coming to me. They're wanting guidance. They're wanting advice. Let me listen to your calls. Hey, I should be running this company. The owner's like, my friend, you should be. Let's go for it. You've been doing it now, not getting paid. Let's knock this thing out of the park. And that's essentially what we did. And we had a beautiful 13-year run. Many, many lives were changed. It was a beautiful experience. What a learning experience for me, preparing me for what? 2006, 7, and 8, the crash, the mortgage collapse, the shutdown of the industry. I'm like, nobody taught us how to open a company, but more importantly, nobody ever told us how to close a company. What are we doing here? We got to shut this thing down, lay off hundreds of people. That was a challenging time. And then after that, I had to reinvent myself because I'm thinking, going out into the marketplace, Paul Conti's here, right? Who is this guy? Who is this? Well, don't you want to do business with me? No, we're all struggling. We're getting out of the business. There's a crash going on. I'm like, I don't understand. So you want to talk about a financial struggle, and mine's no worse than anybody else's. It was a challenge for many, many years. Eviction notices, getting thrown out of a house, getting thrown out of a rental, having to sell your house. Like, I don't understand. My children, they were in a 7,100 square foot house, and now they're like, Daddy, we're all in one room. There's a toilet here. There's a stove here. What's going on? Daddy's recalibrating. Hang in there, children. And in the back room, I'm crying on my knees. What's going on? Cannot figure this out. So it was a very long struggle, eventually conceding to say, okay, God, you gave me all this talent. You gave me all this awesome stuff, this beautiful package that you've put in here, and yet I can't feed my family. What's going on? I didn't understand. And then it hit me. Not because I'm smarter than anybody else. I just think it was at that time. I always say, hey, if you're not willing to get on your knees, God will put you there. Now are you humble enough to look up and say, okay, I need the help, instead of saying, I can do, no, I need the help. That's what it came to. And then it was like, okay, start to share with people in the regular world what's in your head. And this is actually how this coaching company started. I called my brother, who had been divorced twice. And I said, listen, I need to talk to your divorce attorney. He said, is everything okay with you and Jennifer? I said, yeah, we're stronger than ever. We got no problems here, baby. Meanwhile, I can't put food on the table. So I says, listen, I need an introduction to your divorce attorney because I got an idea and I want to share it with a divorce attorney. Now, from my perspective, a divorce attorney has my clients from the mortgage perspective and has the realtor's clients. Because when you go through a divorce, you got to sell a house, you got to buy a house. We're making money in that world. Unfortunately, the demise of the marriage helps other people make money. Where's the gift in that? trying to find God and everything. Sometimes when you're going through the tsunami, you don't necessarily see it. Somebody's got to help you see it. He gets me an appointment with a divorce attorney. The guy takes my call because, I've helped your brother twice. You must need some help. I said, no, I'm going to take you to lunch. I got something to share with you. It's going to blow your mind and make you money. I'm going to take you to lunch. I then went and borrowed money to take this guy out to lunch. That's where I was, folks. Borrowed money to take this guy to lunch. We go to lunch. He's like, Paulie, in 40 years, he didn't say Paulie. He said, Paul, in 40 years, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm in. What do you want me to do? I was essentially sharing with him the thoughts in my head about my coaching ideas and platform and the strategies and the concepts. And he said, I'm in. What do you want me to do? Hold that thought. Give me an introduction to an estate planner and a financial advisor. No problem. Makes the phone call on the spot. If he said he's in, I went and did the same thing. Took him to lunch, borrowed the money, sat down with him. If he's in, I'm in. I've never seen anything like this before. What do you want from me? I want the name of a realtor. I want the name of an attorney. Great, no problem. So I kind of used the rule of twos that I created in my head and got all those people after 12 or 13 lunches, assembled all of them in my room, in a room, and said, okay, gang, I've done this now individually. Now I'm going to collectively and collaboratively put us all together. I'm going to share. We're going to make money. And that's how the coaching platform actually got launched. There's the backstory of how the coaching platform got launched, which brings us all the way up to 7 or 8 years later, where we are on this particular podcast, which is a gift out of nowhere to be able to sit here and talk to you guys about this and share my story, of which nobody really asks me. So thank you for letting me share that story, but that brings you really up to speed as to what we're doing now, or what we will be doing during this call.
So I want to jump back. There is so much to unpack, but I wanted to let you just get your story out there. There's so many things. Many things I resonate with. It's actually insane. But the one that's you've just discussed, right? And I just think, again, the world works in a really weird way. The only person I know who thought about doing divorce lawyers and attorneys is Brad Vanderwall, who has now also been on here. And it's one of his top strategies for getting buyers and sellers. It's one of his top strategies that he does. So he builds relationships with divorce attorneys, lawyers, because he knows there is going to be house transactions always coming through, basically. And he's got relationships with like 10 people and they constantly send him listings. So I just think I've only heard it once, which is him. Worked with hundreds and hundreds of realtors, mortgage professionals, never known anyone do it. Found out 6 months ago that this is one of his strategies that him and his team use to leverage off-market properties as well. Because obviously they're not on the market right now. They're going through this. So he's got his own market that he now controls.
You got pocket listings all the time.
And now you're telling me that also one of your best strategies is going to divorce lawyers and getting them. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides, and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.